Peace. Huh. Peace. Pow. Mad liberator, death operator, rock the data, amazing flavor. Yo, the way I feel, sometimes it's too hard to sit still. Things are so passionate, times are so real. Sometimes I try to chill, mellow down, blow a smoke, a smile on my face, but it's really no joke.
Welcome back to the Raw Talent Motorsports YouTube channel. I'm Sean. Today's video is going to go over Scott's Factory 5 Shelby Daytona coupe. I just wanted to start and just kind of give you a little backstory on the build before I kind of show you in depth and kind of start going over pictures of the process of what we've been through on this thing. So shout out to Gil at Hot Rod Ranch. He recommended Scott to us. Scott brought us, he had purchased this, it's a 2014 model, but they're called a Type 65, so it's after a 65 Shelby Daytona coupe. And it's not a real one, obviously, because it's a Factory 5, but original ones, there's only 7 made ever. And yeah, so it makes this car pretty cool. You know, not many people have this. So Scott brought this to us. He actually owns a Shelby Cobra, a real one with a Ford Performance 427 in it. He brought us this and said, hey, you know, like it doesn't have the torque or the power that I'm looking for. It's not as nice as my my Cobra. So as we started looking at it, this has a Coyote 5.0. It has a Gen 1 Coyote. It has a TKO trans. And so first thought in our mind is Whipple. So explained to him that we could the Coyote is a overhead cam V8, so that it doesn't make its power until high RPM, till like after 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, whereas he's used to low end grunt torque of his pushrod V8 in his Cobra, which probably makes 600 torque at like 3,000 RPM. So basically we said, hey, this Whipple, this will give us some low end torque and give this really the boost that it needs to make it feel a lot peppier. And so that's what we did. So we got a 3.0 Whipple. So I cannot tune, at the moment, I cannot tune stock Ford computers. So we put on a Holley Terminator X Max with the TI VCT controller, so we kept the cams able to operate. The downside to that is we can't actually tune the cams, so the car could have made a little bit more power, but with some more cam control, and maybe could have got a little bit more low end torque, but it's kind of whatever map they put in there for the cams is what we get, which is fine. It works. The car still made good power. Car ended up making 567 with, I forget the torque, but I'll put the graph right here. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say about this thing. So it originally came in, you'll see the pictures that I post, it originally came in with no seats. It had the original flat plain dash with the analog gauges on it. Which all doesn't work with Holley. That was kind of one of the main problems we were trying to, the hurdles that we're gonna have to do, is because we would have to double up a lot of sensors to be able to give the feedback to the driver. So we actually ended up going with the Holley screen. I can end up compress all that into just the 7-inch screen, which ended up being perfect. Also, if you can see on the original pictures that there's a bunch of these toggle switches. There's a bunch of just random switches that kind of did a few things, and we kind of condensed it down into a singular switch panel. We moved some couple buttons around, like the parking brake is now in between the seats. So after we decided to go Whipple, we ended up having talks about the interior. Since we were changing to a Holley screen, it was like, hey, we need a new dash because this one has a bunch of holes in it. We need to fit a square 7-inch screen. And we can move stuff around to where, because how the dash was, it was on the side of the steering wheels, like the RPM and the mile per hour. So we wanted it above it. So I had my good friend Brian with McGann Performance come in and build a custom dash for us. Me and him kind of went over my needs and what I wanted out of the build. We made the level that much higher with this build, just changing little things in the dash and making look a little bit sleeker by adding some curves to kind of go with the sports car look. And he took my vision and ran with it, and honestly knocked it out of the park for what I was asking. Kind of went above and beyond. He also made us these seats. This was another big challenge. It came in without seats. He originally had some Kirkies in it and he hated them. So when it came to me, it had no seats. So we really had an open canvas of what to do, and what we could figure out is what you'll see is we got these little aluminum seats, and they actually ended up working out perfect. He got them to fit really, really well, and just the spacing, the angle, and everything, it just works perfect. Next challenge was the interior, the upholstery. This one was, I'm not gonna lie, was a scary avenue for me. I'm not an interior guy. I'm usually, tuning and, engine building and swap type stuff, so I'm not very good when it comes to interior, or so I thought. We ended up coming up with a good plan. So not only did Brian knock it out of the park with the design, the overall execution of the dash and the center console and the seats, and also, I keep forgetting the door panels. Brian made those door panels because those were originally what we were doing, because it had this big gaping hole, as you see. It had these big gaping holes, and we kind of wanted to utilize it. Instead of just covering it up, kind of make use. And what ended up just knocking everything out of the park was DeLuna's Upholstery. Thankfully, Gil, again, has great recommendations, and he's actually local to me, only a couple blocks away. Man, he worked with me so well. I expressed my concerns, and he did as well, because I know the seats were a challenge. Was a challenge. It's not normal stuff that he gets, like a stock seat that's set up to have fabric on it, whereas we brought him a aluminum seat, which is not really meant to have product on it. And me asking to do a very clean job, we went through a process. But as far as material, knocked it out of the park. Execution, amazing. He had so many good suggestions when it came to the dash upholstery that honestly is killer. Like, if you once you see me show it to you guys, oh man, it is really it's a really cool look. So once I started getting all that stuff done, next I just started noticing, like, okay, this car is a lot of sheet metal pieces. There's a lot of filler stuff, and I just had to we're going with pretty much like an all black theme, so I kind of had to go with that, where I ended up hitting a Misa at Wrap Rods, who came in clutch by wrapping a lot of the interior panels black, even in the back trunk area, wrapped that all black. Even this front hood scoop where it directs air through the radiator and out and uses it as downforce. He even wrapped that black, and honestly, it brought this thing so much together that it is, I'm just really proud of this one. I'm really proud of what we built. So now let's just go over it, and let's kind of show you all the little bits and pieces that we did and how we accomplished it. Okay guys, Scott's Shelby Daytona coupe. This is it, man. It's a really cool car, really cool features, really cool body lines. So I wanted to show you guys the interior of Scott's Daytona. Oh, it's tight, kind of a tight squeeze. But this is it. 5-speed TKO. We got the switch panel, the Switch Pro switch panel. We got the Holley 686 dash. I still have a keyed ignition because I still wanted it safe, and that's kind of something everyone can generally go to in emergency situation to turn the car off and have like a master kill. This is the main kill switch, and then this is our parking brake. It has an electric parking brake. Yeah. So you can see the switch panels lights up. Got the Holley screen set up. You guys know about the Holley screens. You know, there's a bunch of different things you can do as far as how you want it to look. You know, there's a bunch of customizable gauges. I always prefer this one because it has like some of the most information. But a lot of cool things. You know, we got the start button, we got fog lights, we got hazards, we got a horn, the main headlights. These are high beams, and then one cool thing, I added the dome light. We got a dome light up here, I got a dome light under there, and I got a dome light under here. And as you can see, we have heater and AC still. And yeah, you can see custom door panel. This thing's nice, tight. You know, overall, I think we killed it on the interior. The shape of this is really, you know, what I was going for. And Danny, man, with the seam, you know, we've been talking about it, just with making it all go together. And man, he put a seam in a couple spots where it's just absolute perfect. It breaks it up, gives it really a good sports car look. We were thinking about doing something over here, but I mean, honestly, I think it came out great. I don't know if you can tell, but it cut out the corners. And you know, you see in the old pictures is the dash was probably like this size, maybe a little bit shorter, but you could see we had a lot of visibility to work with. So we had, you know, the sight line, we weren't impeding that like at all. So I'm really happy with this one. Onto the engine. Gen 1 Coyote 3-liter Whipple. We had to get a lot of the alternator flip kit. Yeah, a lot of this stuff was already set up. You know, Factory 5 makes this ready to drop in with a Coyote. This originally was on a Ford Performance Pack, but we ended up changing it all. I had Adrian at Alley Cat Racing, you know, set up. We got some power supply here. We got the relays for the fuel pump, the the radiator, and then also the other water pump for the supercharger cooling system. We still have obviously AC. You know, this thing is pretty wicked. You can see the wrap job that Misa did in here to make this look absolutely amazing. The heat exchanger we had to mount in the front so it can pivot with the nose. There was a lot of challenges with this one, and you know, thankfully we were able to overcome it. Adrian did a great job with figuring out placement for all this stuff, you know, just the reservoir for the supercharger system. But as you can see, man, try to make it as clean as possible. Coyotes are a challenge. They're such a big engine in such a small cramped space that, wow, yeah, you already know. Look at that. You know, there's some revision for it. But you can see, like, I probably couldn't take that valve cover off unless I pull the engine. It's really what has to happen. All right, guys, huge shout out to Clutch Masters. They do a lot of our clutches for a lot of our B series stuff. We have like the FX 750s and or the 725s in the CRX and David's car. We actually hit them up because they Daytona. Basically, after I was done dyno tuning it to try to take it on the road, and it just spins the clutch in third gear. So we weren't sure about the combination, so we had to take some part numbers off the original clutch. Reached out to Clutch Masters, and you know, I had a concern of I want drivability because my customer is going to be having his wife drive this. So we needed to hold the power, but we also needed to be tame for street driving. So what we got is the FX 250. It still has a fiber, like a steel friction plate. But one thing that we did get is, so we have an 11-inch pressure plate now instead of the 14-inch stock one. So we'll have a bit more grip, but it still should be quite streetable. It will grab really good, but this should hold pretty good. All right, got the TKO back on the Coyote. Got the FX 250 bolted on. Everything went smooth with that. Now it's to prep it to go back in the Daytona. All right, guys, making progress on the Daytona. Got the blower back on. I'm gonna start putting the accessories back on. I got the headers already on. I got the engine mounts, the trans mount, a couple of the wiring behind there, it's already done. Now I gotta just lay the harness, finish that, get the cooling system all back done, and she's gonna be back and ready to dyno tune. All right, on the Shelby Daytona coupe. Pretty much got everything back in. I got the blower on. I got the cooling system in. I am pretty much finished. I got a couple things on the interior, like the shifter. I got the intake. I got a couple little pieces. I got the rest of the exhaust for the side exit. We're pretty much there. I'm gonna get this centerpiece wrapped black, and just to add to the theme. But we're almost there, back and running. Hope to have some driving videos soon.
Alright guys, the time frame jumps on this one as I delivered the car to the customer already, but he had a mishap when he was driving it. He misshifted and snapped the secondary timing chain, which also caused some piston to valve. So the next video is going to be me reinstalling the head after we got it back from the machine shop. yeah, we finally got it back together from the damage from the snap timing chain. That little squealing you hear is from one of the tensioner pulleys that we ended up changing after the video was taken. But yep, all back together, ready. Yeah, just wanted to end this video just to kind of sum up. I've been making this, like, I made that video probably 6 months ago, at least the first part of it, and I was editing it and getting it ready on that day I delivered it to the customer. And yeah, it happened that night when he went to go take it for a drive and was joyriding it, and yeah, had a misshift and ended up snapping the timing chain. So it ended up coming back right that night. So I didn't post a video and I didn't finish it out right away like I was intending to. So, you know, fast forward the time of finding all the issues and then, you know, waiting for the machine shop and, you know, all the other stuff going on at the shop. Finally got it finished, just didn't take any more videos aside from, you know, my main concern was getting it to him and getting it delivered because we had missed some deadlines that we were shooting for previously. But yeah, I hope you guys liked the video. I hope I added enough detail because I feel like I don't do some stuff enough justice, but I'm glad you guys like it. You know, let me know what your favorite part of the build was and if we should try to do something more like this in the future. Thanks, guys.